What's going on YouTube? Back again, Jason, with another video. Episode 3. The topic that we're going to talk about today is camera post-processing. Now, we all have those instances where we take photos and then we go back to look at them and we're just like, well, this is not at all what, I initially took. At least it's not the original representation of what I found in the viewfinder. And that a lot of times boils down to how the processing algorithms work, or how it's tuned by the OEM, how they want their cameras to come out as far as the color reproduction, white balance, and whatnot. But the thing that really kills me nowadays is that a lot of these camera sensors are perfectly fine, but it's the OEM that ends up mucking up the output with harsh sharpening, really bad noise reduction, all of that, and it just really hampers the experience, especially on sensors that are capable of greater and more quality output, but just because how they're poorly tuned, we get the results that we get. Take for example something that's, I guess, most relevant, given the current lineup of smartphones, the HTC 10. If you look at any of the videos online, you'll find that a lot of the photos, even the low light photos, have a lot of noise, which really, if you think about it, doesn't make a whole lot of sense why this sensor, which is essentially the same sensor as the Nexus 6P, has less digital noise, and I don't know exactly what's going on there, but HTC needs to, maybe not be so heavy-handed on their processing algorithms, because it's just hampering the overall quality of the photos. Especially on the front-facing camera. That front-facing camera with OIS should definitely be able to yield better results than what we've been seeing. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. The photo's actually quite nice, but you would think that a front-facing camera with autofocus and OIS would be more than capable of rendering a much more higher quality 5-megapixel still, but they added this post-processing sharpening and facial smoothing, function that ends up taking away a good deal of the detail that can be otherwise obtained from a camera which is capable of maybe taking a longer exposure and sucking in more light, especially with the 1.34 micrometer pixels on the 10's camera. I would think that it would be able to output a greater degree of detail. And then also another thing that I noticed is the front-facing camera on the HTC 10. While it is a great front-facing camera, I really do think that camera would have benefited from a hybrid electronic image stabilizing function or software function, and in conjunction with the OIS. That would really, really help to make that camera really stand out for vlogging. It's not bad in its current incarnation, but I don't know if a lot of people knew this, but the HTC M9 actually had facial tracking on that camera, which was all software based and actually released in a patch. And there were some very, very invaluable features that HTC baked into the front-facing camera in order to make a much more pleasant experience. Like the facial tracking for vlogging or video calling was absolutely amazing. It was great. It's the same type of facial tracking, similar facial tracking that they have on the HTC, or not the HTC, but the Samsung Galaxy S7. And I'm thinking that if HTC were to push out a patch where they bake that into the front-facing camera as a feature, that the stabilization would look a lot more natural and just be that much better. And I'm thinking that that's something that needs to happen, along with some further tuning of the rear camera software. We need less post-processing, more natural-looking images. Now, the 10 puts out pretty natural-looking images, but there's no reason why a 1.8 aperture, 1.5 micrometer camera sensor, made by Sony, can't do better than we've been seeing. And it's just because in auto mode, the ISO levels are just way too high, you know, and the shutter speed may not be taken at the right clip, you know? So, yeah. So I just don't understand, you know, why, you know. And then also, I guess something else, while we're on the subject of cameras, the LG G5, awesome, phenomenal camera. I'm actually recording on the front-facing camera of the LG G5 right now. There's some issues with exposure, as you can see. Like, if I just kind of, if there was something in there, the exposure just swings very wildly on the G5. And I understand it's a front-facing camera, but that's something that definitely needs to be, I guess, fixed. Maybe not make it so abrupt as far as the exposure change. And then also, another thing that's really been bothering me is the lack of 60 frame recording in 1080p on a lot of these high-end camera sensors. What is going on in 2016 where we can't have 60 frame recording on a high-end $600+ phone? I mean, it just makes absolutely no sense. And I know that the sensors are capable of it, especially, you know, you look at the Nexus 6P. It's like I said before in one of my previous episodes, the sensor is capable of outputting 240 frames at 60 frames per second, 240 frames at 720p resolution, right? Yeah. And the HTC 10, which has a very similar sensor, cannot actually do that, which makes no sense. You know, why they didn't bake that in there. It can only do half the frame rate. With the new image sensor processor, you know, the new ISP on the 820, you know, you'd think it would be able to definitely obtain that, but no dice. No dice. For the life of me, I can't understand why this is such a big issue for a lot of these carriers. And then these manufacturers. And also, being able to record in 1440p on the front-facing camera, why not? Why can't you do that? Why can't you shoot in 2K resolution or a 2K resolution option on the sensor? Why not? I don't know. It makes no sense. Because if you're playing back content, wouldn't you want to have the content match up with what you're recording and what you can actually display on your phone? Wouldn't that make sense, as opposed to, you know, having to go through upscaling trickery and whatnot? I don't know. But again, like I said, I don't really understand what's going on, why a lot of these basic features are just being omitted in this day and age, especially when we've seen them on lesser and less expensive devices. You know, Samsung, year in and year out, they pack in more features than you know what to do with. And while it may be overwhelming for some and not used at all, it's greatly appreciated when you have that added versatility of, you know, the 60 frame recording, the 240 frame slow-mo. I mean, these features are actually really, really cool, and they really do make for an overall better camera experience when you have that much more versatility at your disposal. Yeah, I mean, as you can see, the exposure on the front-facing camera on the G5 is just terrible. Like, I'm sitting in a relatively well-lit car. This phone has a 2.0 aperture on the front, 8 megapixels, but as you can see, you can barely see me right now. If I open up the sunroof, can you see me better? Not really. I don't really understand what the deal is. I don't know. I mean, maybe you can see me. Maybe it's my shades. I don't know. But, yeah, and a lot of these things can be fixed or updated in software patches, but when we'll actually see those patches, who knows? You know, HTC in the last couple of weeks have been very diligent in pushing out updates to the 10 to rectify a lot of those little quibbles that people have been having, and I applaud them for that. You know, they have a very good strategy where they place, their updates in the Play Store, which cuts out the carrier, the middleman, so they can go instantly onto the devices and people can take advantage of those fixes immediately, which is fantastic. I think more OEMs should switch over to that. You know, a lot have, but I think that there needs to be a greater focus on that just to get those updates out quicker. And this video's already running a little bit long, so I'm not going to make it too much longer. But basically, I guess to close up, you know, this just the OEM and their processing, their post processing, and whatever algorithms they've worked out. I mean, it just, especially on the HTC 10, you know, the output is not where it could be. You know, it could be on a whole nother level as far as low light sensitivity, and it is a great low light camera. I'm just saying that there could be more that we could achieve with that camera if, you know, HTC wasn't so heavy-handed on their processing, their image processing. So, you know, that's pretty much all I have to say today. Hopefully by Friday I shall get an HTC 10. I'll do an unboxing video, and then about probably 2 weeks after that I'll have a full review for the 10, and then we can do maybe some camera comparison. So hopefully, like I said, I'm just learning really how to do a lot of this editing. You know, I'm trying my hand at it, so guys, bear with me. I appreciate all you guys who are actually watching my videos. I appreciate, you know, checking out my videos. It really is encouraging. You know, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what your ideas are about, you know, post-processing, heavy-handed post-processing in images these days. Do you like that? Do you want do you want them to kind of get away from that? Do you want more granular control over output? You know, with the, you know, maybe, oh, and I guess, you know, manual video controls, that's a whole nother topic. But anyway, until next time, guys, this is Jason signing off. Peace. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.